Welcome to Faith and Family, Seattle Sounders, and a conversation. We're going to talk about life, faith, and soccer. My name is Jesse Bradley. I'm a former professional soccer goalkeeper, now a pastor at Grace Community Church, and I have with me Fredy Montero. And if you don't know much about soccer, I got to tell you a little bit about Fredy. Most of you probably already know, but he is the all-time scoring leader for the Seattle Sounders, and also as an MLS All-Star multiple times. He has many cups. The team's won, many titles, and even a humanitarian award from MLS. And with all that, he's a man of faith. And Fredy, thank you so much for taking a little time today after practice to get together and have this conversation.
Thank you, Jesse. It's an honor for me to be here, sitting with you, sharing a little bit of my history. And let's go. I'm excited. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Tell us a little bit first about soccer. I know early on in life it was a passion for you. Just talk about that joy of playing the game and just some of the highlights for you.
Well, we got to go back to my hometown, Colombia. I remember my first Christmas gift. That was a soccer ball with all the flag from the national team. That was like around the World Cup or South American Cup. And kicking the ball. I remember one ball. 5, 6, 7, 20 kids can have fun with that ball. And that's where everything started. Having fun first, community, friends, and making everybody happy in my neighborhood. And then, the transition from fun to competition, and then wanting to win. And then, being in a big stage with an academy of a professional soccer club. And then at the age of 17, I became a professional. And before that, I left my house when I was 12 years old to a different city where I didn't know anyone to start with the Academy of Deportivo Cali back in Colombia. So basically doing my own laundry, setting my own alarm, waking up. I wasn't cooking, obviously, but I had to be on time on every single task that I have with my team and with my school. So I would say that I advanced more than other kids because at that point I knew that soccer was one of the things that would help my life, my family, And then I didn't have any other option than focus and have discipline on the sport.
Yes. And so it was a dream since you were a young child, and then playing professional soccer. Like you said, there's a competitive element. You still want to have fun, but there's also a lot of dynamics happening there. And did you ever imagine you'd have this much success in your career?
No. Trust me, all I wanted was make my father happy. He was, all in with me in soccer. He was taking me every single places, every game when I was under the age of 12 before I left my house. And I wanted to make him happy. I didn't know when I made the transition to live by myself. That's when I finally opened my eyes and I saw that it was something else there behind scoring goals, having fun, winning games, winning trophies. And I just wanted to become professional back then, and I didn't know it was going to be as good as it had been.
Yes, that's right. You've enjoyed a long career, which is another blessing too. And not to say you're older, you're still playing so well at this point. Tell us a little bit about your faith journey. Did you grow up with much experience there, or when did it start to really mean something to you?
Well, Colombia, it's a Catholic country. I got baptized because obviously as a Catholic, your parents take you to church and they do it with the father. But then through my whole career, I remember those prayers, that they have to repeat. Now I can say it was more a religion than a relationship, and my life had changed since I became the person that I needed to be. And I have so many teammates, I have so many friends that I thought I was learning from them, but no one of them was showing me the right path to that relationship that I was in need. And here in Seattle, through a good friend, Steve Saquani, he introduced me to a pastor, and then 6 years after I met him, that's the thing that I love when I meet my good friend and pastor now, that he didn't push me to believe, he didn't push me to go to church. It was in the right time. So my wife and I got baptized as a Christian in the same day. That was one of the best days of my life. I have a tattoo here that still reminds me that day. And I mean, it's not easy. Nothing changed right away. It's all, develop that relationship with God and with Jesus, and trying to obviously give back to Him, because it's by the grace that I am here, right? So I'm a father. I'm married to my wife Alexis. She's gonna be watching the video, and I have to, say hi to her.
Absolutely.
I love you, Mama.
That's right. Good
And three daughters. And now we're back here in Seattle after going to Canada, Colombia, China, Portugal.
Yeah.
So all over the place, but Seattle was always home base. I met my wife here, and then we always dream about coming back here and establish the community of our church. And finally we are living the dream.
Great. I
Thank
love
God.
that story. That's right. That's right. Because I think a lot of people can relate. They grew up with some religion, like you say, and they knew some facts, but at some point in the journey, they owned it. And now it's relationship with God, not rules and rituals, but relationship. Yeah. And that grace that you talked about, that love God has for us, just enjoying that, and what a difference it makes in a family, too.
Yeah, when you are you know that too. When you are in a professional sports, you think like you score a goal, and you try to emulate everything the same, the same breakfast, the same lunch, the same clothes, right? You put in your face in something else. And I was there too. When I was in Europe, I remember a gap in my career that I wasn't scoring goals. So I was knocking the door to the wrong person. I called, the life coaching, that they call you, they do Zoom, and they say, okay, now you have to follow this, you have to go out and say these words. Now I look back and say what I was doing, that was wrong. Like I had in front of me the answer, so be more faithful, have more confidence in myself, in Jesus, that He's gonna come through. And then, now I can look back and relate with all the teammates that, hey, don't worry, this time it's not going to be forever. It's going to pass. Tough times are made for tough people as well.
Yeah, well said. There's a big difference because there's so much superstition sometimes in the locker room, and it's like, wait, you can have a foundation with your maker and be secure instead. How do you balance in a season the roller coaster ride? Because I think of this year, CONCACAF champions, first time ever MLS. I mean, this is amazing. And then you also have tough losses like last second in Atlanta or Portland. And that roller coaster, how does your faith help you during life? And of course, in terms of being a professional athlete, going through such a range of experiences, what difference does it make for you?
Wow. I mean, this is not new for me. Trust me, I've been in professional soccer for 16 years. So I developed some sort of patience, confidence in myself. But I would say that the moment I start looking at myself different, and like my career doesn't define me as a person, that's the moment that I make that jump. Like it doesn't matter the result, it doesn't matter if I play or not play, it doesn't matter if I score a goal or I miss a PK. I know that when I come back home, my family is going to be waiting for me. My daughters are going to be expecting a hug, a kiss, my wife obviously talking to her, and open my arm for her as well, and being the provider, being the protector for them. So soccer, yes, it is my passion, it is my job, but it doesn't define me as a person. So it doesn't matter what happens in the field. I know that there is always a new opportunity in front of us.
So good. And that's something so many younger players are watching, right now. And to be able to go all out, to have passion for sports and give it everything you have, at the same time, that there's a ceiling there. It doesn't define you. Like say, it's not your identity. There's something greater here in terms of that love and security with God. So you articulated that so well, so well. Fredy, in terms of your family, I just hear that over and over again, how much faith is a part of your family life, the joy, baptized together at the same time. I mean, that's a glimpse that a lot of people have been watching you on the field for many years, but they've never heard or maybe seen that part of your life. And it just sounds like that's just so close to your heart.
Yeah, and it's a moment that defined my life, before and after. I always believe in God, right? Christ, God, but I didn't know what was that about. I grew up with with something in front of me that it wasn't the right thing. But it was the beginning. I thanks my parents. I loved them. They did the best that they could. But in the right time, as you mentioned before, everything came back to me, and I opened my eyes to Jesus and knowing that He gave His life for me. So now I have to, I am clean and I am working, not working hard for my salvation, because accepting Him, we already have it. But I love my wife, I love my kids, I love my community, and life is not meant to be, by yourself. As a soccer player, as a professional soccer player, when you go to different countries, it is hard for us to open and embrace the community. So there is not many friends that I can call that they are in different countries. I didn't know that. Right. So that's why here I'm enjoying my time, enjoying my life, soccer, outside of soccer, my church, my friends.
Yes, that's right. Involved in the church. I have that picture of you and your wife just passing on your faith to your daughters, and how special that is. Fredy, is there anything else that you'd want to share to encourage people today? There's a lot of people watching in different situations. The last 2 years, we haven't had faith and family for a couple of years because of the pandemic. I mean, people have been through a lot right now, challenging times. And anything you'd like to say to encourage them in their faith and overall, what's on your mind today?
My career, it's soccer, right? And I want to relate that with faith. You need discipline to become a professional. So and you need the same discipline to be faithful, to be, like waking up, praying, believing that the scripture is truth. So following those principles are going to be important for life. And for all the kids that play soccer, I look at me, I'm not the biggest, I'm not the fastest, no, I'm not the strongest, but I thank God for my whole career. And it's still going. Right? I played in Colombia, I played for the national team, I played in Seattle, Sporting of Lisbon in Portugal. I got transferred to China. So I can tell you that I have fun and I make a good life out of soccer. So it's a God-given talent that I put in use, and it gives me opportunity to provide for my family. So keep believing, keep going to training. It doesn't matter what your coach says, it doesn't matter the season you are. One day God is going to open that door, and that door is no man can close it. So you can go.
That's a great word. Yeah, the habits, the parallel there between an athlete who, people see the stadium, they see the crowds, they see the trophies, but what they don't see is all the hard work and the discipline and the habits you put in that dedication. And similar with faith and growing in your faith, there's some habits that you cultivate. And Fredy's talked about, at home, faith is part of their life. Going to church, praying, reading the Bible, and those are powerful habits. They really are.
So. They are. And obviously, as a soccer player, we have so many different cultures, nationalities. In the locker room, there is different person that they are going to bring the best of you, and sometimes the bad, right? And at that moment, like right now, we're not in our best moment in our season, but we are starting to see the truly character of the player. And then it's when all players start, helping the kids, saying that, hey, come on, we still have the opportunity to make the playoffs. We are going to make the playoffs. And watch out with the Sounders if we make the playoffs. Oh, no, when we are in the playoffs, watch out with us.
That's good. That's good. You're mentoring right there. You're helping the mindset. And that's a great thing in a locker room. That's the beauty of soccer in my mind, the unity, the relationships that happen around the world and happen in the locker room. And then you have that chance to live out your faith and shine that light in tough points in the season when everyone's kind of wondering, are we going to make the playoffs? You can step in and guide the guys along too.
Yeah, in soccer you have pressure, and here the pressure is making the playoff, right? But I've been in soccer teams that the pressure is relegation, like going to second division. That's a real one. So it's not the same when you play to win trophy that when you play to lose the position in a professional league. So yeah, it's hard, but at the same time, I mean, God is so good, and in any stage in our life, He's there to protect us, and He did it to me, and I am sure that He can do it to every single one of you out there.
That's great. Thank you so much, Fredy. You have brought a lot of joy to Seattle, watching you play and the team and the success, but also off the field, what you do for the community and inspiring a lot of people today with your story and your faith. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Seattle as well, it's my home. I consider this as a part of my life and where I want to raise my kids. And I love Seattle. I love the community that is building here and believing for revival.
That's right. Amen. Thank you so much. It was so good to hear from Fredy. And sometimes when you watch a professional athlete, you kind of wonder what's really going on in their heart and behind the scenes. And for him to talk about his faith, you can tell we both enjoy talking about soccer and faith. For me growing up, when I was 2 years old, I told my parents I wanted to be a professional athlete. And that included soccer championships in high school for the state, and then going to an Ivy League college, and we won more championships. I played overseas, and I went to Africa and Zimbabwe, had incredible memories of playing there, played in Scotland. While I was in Africa, there was a tragic end to my career, and it was a prescribed medication, and it was every week taking this drug, which was supposed to protect me, ended up nearly killing me, because for a year I was fighting for my life, and for 10 years, it took that long to recover. And in my 20s, it was this incredibly long, chronic illness. And yet in the middle of that, there was a hope that was greater than the pain that I experienced. Even though it was brutal, I met God in that place in a deep way. And I say that to encourage you today, because you might listen to Fredy and think, of course, he's won all these titles and he's MLS All-Star, but life doesn't always work out that way. And sometimes life's going one way, and then it's not going that way anymore. And when my career ended, my health was taken away. I was struggling for my identity. Fredy said that there was a shift from soccer to God and His love. And that same shift in my life, from performance to this relationship with God. Making that shift is healthy, because a performance-based identity is this roller coaster ride of being inflated and deflated in pride and shame. But instead, when you know you're loved, and that's really the message today. Listening to Fredy, he was saying it so well. This is a relationship, and you are loved by God. You are known, you are cared for, you are pursued, and it's not something you earn. It's not something you have to, rise above the competition and impress God and eventually climb this ladder and be good enough. Instead, right where you are today, God offers you a relationship. And that wasn't something I grew up with. I didn't believe God existed, to be honest. I went to college at Dartmouth. I took a class, Introduction to World Religion. It was the first time I ever read the Bible. And I had dozens of questions. I wanted to kick the tires. It didn't make sense to me. And as I learned more about Jesus, I was drawn to Him, because not only His teaching was so wise, but the way He loved people, the way He lived, the miracles, and ultimately His death and resurrection. And there is a hope today, because Jesus is not dead. He is alive. He is risen. This relationship with God can be vibrant, and the hope that no one can take away. When I lost my career and my health and friends, and I felt like I was starting over in life, these words that Jesus said, your house will be like a house on the rock and not the sand. And abiding with Jesus, it's daily. There's a life that's abundant, and there's life that's eternal. And I want to encourage you today to enjoy, if you're playing sports and you're playing soccer, enjoy that. Enjoy the relationships, the locker room, the training, the competition. Just savor it, because it's a gift to have the health and to have the opportunities that we have in this country to enjoy soccer and the Sounders and everything else. Savor that. But also know beyond soccer, there's something bigger. And when you think about faith, maybe you didn't grow up in a background where it was really celebrated. And maybe there's some stereotypes and some negative things you have in your mind. But I want to share this. Taste and see that the Lord is good. And when you have this security in God and this love from God, I'll tell you, there's a joy in your life that nothing else can create that kind of joy. So thanks so much for joining us today. We wanted to share our stories with you. Thanks for taking time and listening. I hope you're encouraged. And I want to close with this verse. May the God of hope, because that's who God is, may the God of hope fill you with joy and peace as you trust in Him, so you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Hope is a foundation. It's not just a feeling that comes and goes. And the God of all hope wants to fill you with His hope that is greater than the challenges that you face.